I want to thank everybody. Thank you, Michael Kahn, for getting us started today. Robert Gauthier, thank you for being on the call tonight. For those of you who were here last week, it was absolutely fabulous. My hat's off to Robert. He did an exceptional job making the complicated very, very simple. Tonight's goal is really straightforward. I'll introduce Robert. For the people who don't know Robert Gauthier, I will then take you through the questions and answers tonight. There's 3 or 4 critical questions that have been sent in from the field. There's a few others after that. And I think you'll find this a content-rich, money-making, information-producing event for you. So everybody, let's get started. I'm going to introduce Robert Gauthier for those who don't already know him. For Robert, it all started in the year 2000 with a dream. Robert Gauthier, the president of his own company, a few trips to Africa, several medical advisors and scientific opinions, 7 years of research finally paid off. The first product was fully developed and tested. It took several years to find the perfect chain of amino acid and pair it with the proper manufacturing process in order to have the purest and the healthiest glutathione precursor. That is an extraordinary line. You will talk about it a little bit later tonight in some of the questions. In October of 2007, Robert conducted his first clinical study, which took place in Togo, Africa, on 115 HIV-2 patients. The full study was extraordinary. The results came back and the rate of over 98.8% efficacy. So we decided to take action in 2008. His company was born. You know, in 2010, he had an all-natural, clinically proven and patented therapy for the treatment of a host of immune system and related degenerative diseases. By 2013, he had over 80 retailers holding out his flagship product. In 2015, to bring us more closer to date, he explored his possibilities in the fitness world, started working with wonderful athletes, which took the company to an entirely new level. And that brings us to today, April 2020, 23 product improvements later, Robert granted exclusive rights in the direct-to-consumer network marketing channel to CTFO. And now all of you are part of that history in our record-breaking first week last week, when we launched our product from Robert called CELLUVie. So Robert, welcome onto the program tonight.
Yeah, thanks, David.
That's a grand entry. I'm going to start off with some very straightforward questions. Really simple. How do we know CELLUVie is of the highest quality?
Okay, that's a very good question, David. Basically, since our inception, there was back then, and it's still today, a recognized, internationally recognized body that checks what we call the digestibility factor of a protein and the amino acid profile for human consumption. It's and I'm going to have to read this one because it's a PDCAAS organization, worldwide organization. In the United States, you've got the Food and Agriculture Organization that also oversees, because obviously our product is protein based from cow's milk, and the generally accepted level is of 1 for the digestibility factor, and the CELLUVie comes up at 1.14, which way exceeds the FOA digestibility factor. So it basically says that as a product, it is in the highest quality available.
Yeah, that's terrific. How is CELLUVie different than the competition?
Okay. That is the million-dollar question, David. Everybody would like to know. First of all, you need to know that when you gravitate in a certain industry, well, you meet people that also gravitate in that industry. And I met a scientist And he had a technology that he had never thought of using in what we're doing today. And I told him, you know, Peter, why don't we apply your technology to what we're doing? And he had been actually working on certain aspects for, you know, cellular vitality for, you know, many years prior to this. Now it's been 26 years that we're working together, and we've always stayed together. And basically what we did is we trademarked, not patented, because when you have a patent, you have to tell everybody what you're doing. And then the big boys in the industry that have, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars can basically copy your invention and take over. So what we did is we trademarked the production process of the CELLUVie, and basically what we, to make it nice and easy to understand, there are what we call bioacidic foods and biogenic foods. A bioacidic food is a food that takes away energy from you when you eat it. Example, if you eat an apple, and then, or you cut it up in pieces, put it in apple pie and put it at 350 degrees for half an hour, it's pretty easy to understand that what's in that pie is not going to give you much energy. It's going to take energy from you because you need to digest it. But if you take a nice apple and you keep it intact and you keep bioavailable, then when you're biting that apple, most people tell you, yeah, I can imagine that this will give me more energy. So we took the technology that came from that scientist and we applied it to the production process. And basically what we did is we made the available peptides, what we call more bioavailable, but biogenically speaking, it will give you at a cellular level more energy. And that basically makes our product unique in the industry. Nobody has this, I can guarantee you that much. And obviously, well, we passed it on to you guys as, you know, as a product called CELLUVie.
That's terrific. And I'm going to read something and toss it back to you. Am I correct in saying we're also known, me and your company, to be up to 40% less expensive than our closest competition while being 50% more bioavailable? We have the highest dosage of cysteine and protein per 100 grams of CELLUVie while having less lactose.
Yes, and not only that, you know, we're casein free, which is very important because casein is not very good for you. It's usually used or it is in bodybuilding ways, which are denatured proteins. But yes, you're right. And you know, David, what I find very regretful is that people don't read labels, or they read labels with, you know, like blinders, and they don't understand what they're reading. So basically, a label will not always tell you all that you need to know. And I'd like to make an analogy here, if I may. Let's take water, for example, okay? Water, if you treat it a certain way, you can freeze it and it's ice cube for your drink, or it's ice rink for hockey. If you boil it, you can actually make it cook your food, or you can power a locomotive. And if you treat it with electricity, it's heavy water, and it's the basis for a hydrogen bomb. If you looked at the label on the water, it's the same for all three examples, but it has been treated differently to give you different results. Well, let's go to the protein aspect of what we're doing. And when we treat our protein, we treat it in a way that what we want is for that protein to give your cells energy. And that's basically a very subtle difference, but you're not going to see this on the label. So people, and people say, oh, your label is the same. And then what I tell people, and I know I'm being graphic, David, but we have to, because we have to bring it down to manageable results. A car is a car. I don't think so. Because a Lada has 4 tires, a brake, a pedal, and a steering wheel. A Honda has the same thing, and a Mercedes has the same thing. Now, would you agree with me that the Mercedes might have more technology than the 2 other cars?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yes. Well, then it's the same for us. But if you looked at the composition of all 3 cars, they all have tires, they all have steerings, they all have seats, but there is technology. So that technology might not be apparent to most people when they read a label, but I'll tell you what, it makes the whole difference. And I'll go even further. I'm sorry, but I have to, and then you cut it out if you don't like it.
No,
but
good.
basically, if you're making a souffle, you know, nice chocolate souffle that you pay a lot in a restaurant, did you know that a pregnant woman cannot make a souffle? Even if the cook who invented the souffle is doing it all for her, it will never rise. And science doesn't know why. Well, obviously, there is an interaction. My mother makes spaghetti, or used to, because she's passed away. I can never make the spaghetti exactly like her. Why? We don't know. So I want people to understand that when we talk about proprietary process, it's not a joke. But we can't divulge this information in length because we have to protect your interest as a customer and my interest as a supplier to make sure that you will, in 10 years from now, 20 years from now, have something that people cannot attack, copy, or even emulate. And that's basically what makes a product different, is actually our proprietary production process.
I think everybody understands the theft of trade secrets, patented technology, et cetera, that goes on in business, and they understand, and it relates to your field and formulation as well. I have to answer the next question is, so when people look at the CELLUVie bag and you look at the ingredients, it says whey protein isolate and lecithin. That's it.
That's
so
it.
That's what you're referring to in connecting this, and I just want to connect it to them because a lot of questions will come in. Well, gosh, it says, what's so different about this? And you explain that very gracefully, I think.
Yeah. So if we push it a bit further, then you take these bodybuilding wheys; they're denatured. They have broken a disulfide bond, and we won't go into big molecules, but people need to understand that it is subtle, but it makes the whole difference, especially for the human anatomy. And if we keep these bonds intact and then we get them to interact better with your cells, then inevitably you've got a better product that is biogenic product. But if you don't do this, you're basically wasting energy. Now, how can you treat certain conditions if you take away the energy necessary for your body to do? Remember what we discussed last week, you know, the intrinsic ability and desire to be disease-free is inert. We're just bring it to light. You understand?
Right. Robert, that leads us into the production of CELLUVie. How does it, whey protein isolates, muscle building isolates, people are paying $30 a bag, and address that. What's the you've already touched on it, but can you just give me another short paragraph on?
I'll give you
that
one.
Because it's the, oh, they go, it's just, you got two items on there. So what in this process? So like toss that.
I know, but this is the whole thing. There's still 4 tires on each car, but there's a difference. So inevitably, people need to understand that there are products that have been over pasteurized and denatured, which we discussed before. So they're dead. They're good for good muscles, okay, but they will tax your liver. They can actually damage your kidneys. And people don't know this, but Wider, the big protein company in the biggest in the world, headquarters in Montreal. I met with Ben Wider many years ago. Do you know that they settled at one point $500,000 a month of lawsuits for damage that they'd done to the liver of athletes that were on their product?
Wow.
People don't know that. But in our case, you would give the whole bag to a child, he would eat it all, and there would be no damage, none whatsoever. So obviously there is a difference, but here's what it is. One is intact and is biogenic. The others are biocidic. Now, Dr. Mercola, I think he's well known in the whole United States. He's against whey protein isolates because he says that whey protein isolates are rancid. Well, guess what? If our product was rancid, it wouldn't do the job. You could smell it in a bag. So Dr. Mercola is absolutely right on most whey protein isolate, but he's absolutely wrong when it comes to our product. We are different.
When you talk about your manufacturing process, you've actually, over those 20 years in the scientific team, developed that unique manufacturing process. You gave it a name called Provita, correct?
Yes, that's right. Provita. Why? My wife is Spanish, and Provida means to promote life, and CVE for cellular vitality enhancement. Everything we do in our company, right or wrong, has to have a reason. We're not a marketing company. You know, some people can embellish, and it's okay. But in what we do, we believe that when we put our name or our sticker on something, it means. So obviously the trademark had to mean something. And what we're talking about is the cellular vitality enhancement aspect of the production process. Yet again, I will come back to the word, biogenic food, because people don't even understand how important what you ingest. Last week, we talked about if I recall, what was it, the Mustang, and you put the right octane fuel in it, and horsepower goes up. Right. Well, we're not different. The only difference is with us is that we regenerate, like you pointed out so gracefully, that we regenerate our bodies every average 7 years. With this product, we will accelerate the process because of the peptides that we have protected and enhanced for you to have a unique product for your people.
Terrific. Leads us to the question, and everybody is interested who's listening and who will watch this tonight or later, is why did you give the exclusive rights to the direct-to-consumer network marketing space to CTFO?
Here's what it is. Actually, Stuart came to see me twice. Well, twice, not twice, but twice. And the second time, he said, Robert, we did good business many years ago. And that product of yours, which was back then a first generation, and you pointed out 23 years, 23 times improvement, said did very good, because today I have a child, and she's 16 years old, and she's the love of my life and all of this. And you got to understand, David, I'm not business. I am business because I have to be, but I'm more about people. Right. And when I saw how Stuart was adamant about wanting to bring value, for future consideration in the company, then of course I said, I will, formulate a specific formula for you, a trademark, which is going to be yours, worldwide. And this way we're going to work together as we did in the past, and we will help people, we're not allowed to make many claims in your industry, but we will give them a true quality of life, no matter what condition they might have. And that's how it got started. That's basically how it happened.
Yeah. Well, we're happy that you did, and everybody on this call, who's going to go out and, make a difference, in other people's lives, and also introduce them to the company.
I'd like to say something, David.
Sure.
When I started this many, many years ago, what you don't know about me is I used to own supermarkets also. I owned some of the biggest supermarkets in Montreal before I got this statistic about, people in Africa that were dying. And my supermarkets were schools for a big corporation, because I cannot do something unless it is the best. So when I went into this research to develop, and this is the foundation for the research that we did, either I had the best or I couldn't sell. I can't get up in the morning and peddle something that I don't believe in. So inevitably, you guys are getting more than 20 years of dedication, where I can tell you that we have the best today. Tomorrow, technology moves. We're going to have to move with technology. But right now, when we're looking at the human anatomy and to treat somebody at a cellular level and to give them the energy to be able to fend for themselves against major condition, you have the best product available.
Yeah. The tripeptides you talked about, and thank you very much for that. And we're much appreciative, and I believe we'll represent you extremely well and surprise you immensely. Very talented people on this phone. It's teamwork, that you do a lot more.
It is. And actually, I think you and I do a pretty good job together.
Yes, yes, correct, correct. It's a
I'm,
good,
I'm
it's a
tooting my own horn because my grandmother is dead and my wife is not there for me.
the tripeptides. I'm reading a question from one of our associates out there who's probably watching tonight. The tripeptides, the NAC, the N-acetyl L-cysteine, and the glycine. They said, why don't I just go purchase them as pills in supplement form and take them?
Okay.
It,
It doesn't work. Okay. First of all, when you take L-cysteine, it has a toxic component to it. Okay. And when you take them out of proportion, see, this is the beauty about nature and a natural product that pharmaceutical has trouble understanding. It's balanced by nature. When we extract the whole chain of amino acid. Of course, we're going to get the three main amino acid to be prevalent because we know that the limiting factor is cysteine, but cysteine alone doesn't work. You understand? And then glutamate acid doesn't work alone, and lysine won't work. But when you put them together, there's a synergistic component which is natural. It is not. It has not been synthesized. It has not been extracted. It comes from nature, and that is the beauty about nature. You keep it intact, it will give you the right results. So of course, these three amino acids taken alone will not give you results. Plus, they will get destroyed in the intestinal tract, and you'll get probably a very small percentage of what could be, but also you will have the toxic effect that comes with it, whereas our product has no toxic side effect whatsoever.
Terrific. Terrific. Can you just give us all the simple story on how glutathione, how our product, CELLUVie, gets through the stomach into the cell, gives the cell the building blocks to produce glutathione? Does the mitochondria produce it, or what's the activity?
First of all, your cells need certain fuels to be able, and pathways.
Right.
And the truth is, most of all that's happening on a biochemical level in your system, and I should say all of it, but there's always comes through glutathione synthesis. So it's an enzyme. As it starts, it's a protein, and then what it does is you've got three amino acids that once they get into the cell together, they tell the cells, hey, you got to produce glutathione because this is going to happen to you. Depending if you're an athlete, something's going to happen. If you're toxic, this is going to happen. If you eat bad, this is going to happen. And unless, God gave us an ability to stay alive. Every day, your body is fighting to stay alive, to get everything into check. And the limiting factor in your cells happens to be glutathione, but glutathione cannot be supplemented. The molecules are too big. It has to be produced. And to produce, the best example I can give you, and I did last week, and I'll go back to it, is if your child is not faring very good in school because he's not that intelligent, you don't feed him brains. He's not going to get any smarter. But if you give him the right substrates, your brain is going to react and do what it's supposed to do. So it is a biochemical reaction of a chain of amino acid which are essential for the survival of your body. That's basically what it is.
So the CELLUVie gets through the stomach and provides nourishment to the cell, and is a small enough molecule to get into the cell.
Exactly. Now, some people ask the question, well, glutathione molecules are too big, so how can it work? Your bag says glutathione precursor on it. People have to understand there's no glutathione in there. I was making an example of that football player, the best quarterback you have in the United States.
Tom Brady?
Tom Brady, yeah.
Since I am from Boston, I know that one quickly.
Well, Tom Brady does take glutathione injections, but that's, first of all, because it's an injection, it is supplemented and it's not oxidized, but he's taking it right before going and doing what he does best, and it will be utilized because there's a lot of lactic acid that are eating away. There's lots of stress, you know, and there's lots of energy that's being decimated. And for all intent and purpose, he's just supplementing. What we're doing here is we're giving your body the ability to go from a baseline and to build it up so you're not going to be as weak as you were before you started on the product.
Right. Let me ask you, here is an interesting one. Does CELLUVie protect against 5G electromagnetic fields?
Oh my God.
That's a big question.
That's a big question. Listen,
I couldn't have thought of that one, but it's important. It's important for somebody, so I toss it out there.
Okay, what you need to know is I used to be in a group of 2,500 scientists. The head of this group is Dr. Mikrowski in Ottawa. And Dr. Mikrowski has put 37 years of his life to prove that electromagnetic field influence on the human body is very detrimental. But it's electromagnetic field radiation, which is an oxidative stressor. We talked last week about the antioxidant function of the product, which is basically to neutralize oxidative stressors. So to answer your question in a nice fashion, very simple, yes. The best thing, what I tell people, would you put your head in a microwave oven? And they say no. Well, your cell phone is a microwave oven with no box on it. Now, it used to be 2Gs, 3Gs, 4Gs, not 5. And then you've got Elon Musk, who wants to go with 4,700 satellites with 6G networks to have the cars, you know, run on their own. Your body can't take that radiation. It's impossible. So unless you use something to neutralize the radiation, which is oxidative stressor, your cells are going to get sick and you're going to get unbelievable disease. Now, I want you to know something. I did an infomercial in California. The company who did it for me went bankrupt, but point in case is the owner had brain tumors, and it was actually proven scientifically that his cell phone, the early stage cell phones, gave him the tumor. Now, in Italy, it has been scientifically and legally proven that cell phone use will cause brain tumors. Now, the big boys in North America are saying, no, 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 it's not scientifically proven yet. And, you know, they're putting all roadblocks because it's a technology that will not go away and they don't want to get sued. You know, Big Tobacco got sued, a lot of, but the answer, the short answer for you, and I know I talk a lot, but I want people to understand, because I take this very seriously, David, because I have grandchildren. And they're like woodpeckers on their cell phones. And I tell the parents, guys, the research is there. The proof is take a cell phone and talk, put it against your ear for 20 minutes. And your ear is going to be red and it's going to be hot, hot, hot. And people say, yeah, the cell phone got hot. No, that's the the electromagnetic field radiation that is emanating from the phone against your head. And the worst yet is the ones who have, you know, these little hootikis you put in your ear and you got your cell phone here. Well, guess what? The radiation every few seconds is going right through your head. And just the word radiation should scare the bejesus out of everybody. So if you go and punch glutathione and electromagnetic field radiation and you look at the research, you're going to be blown away. Yes, it will conjugate and turn and bind to the radioactive components, and then it will render them water soluble and excrete them from your body. And this way it will protect you. That's basically what it will do.
Great. I want to thank all the people who sent in the questions. That one as well. That's a great answer. No, I would have never thought about it. There's one question you sent in. And you said, David, we didn't get to a couple of topics, a couple of things like detoxing, etc. What else does glutathione do? And that'll be the last question of the night.
That's right. Last week we discussed about, you know, antioxidant and basically what it is for anti-aging and protecting the cell, and we just touched on But you need to understand also that there is the immune function, your first line of defense against any invader, whether it is bacterial, parasitical, or viral infection, is basically your immune system. And people don't understand. They want, you know, the body to boost the immune system to be real strong. That's a marketing ploy, and it's on a lot of protein product, and it's not what you want. Right. You want to regulate the immune system. That's what the product does. So what it will do was upregulate when it comes to viral infection, as we're living now with COVID-19, as what I'm doing in Africa for AIDS. It doesn't matter. For us, we're not in the disease business. We're in the management of health. So we're going to upregulate the immune system. But if you have something like, I don't know, asthma, allergies, how many kids nowadays have allergies? These are hyperimmune dysfunction because the body doesn't recognize what's good, what's not good is being attacked. You know, you've got, what's it called? The condition where people, gluten intolerance. It's all over the place. They made a marketing and they'll give you cookies that taste like cardboard because it's got, you know, gluten. The truth is, the only reason we have gluten intolerance is that the wheat that was not GMO modified had 2 chromosomes and now it has 23 chromosomes. So when you eat that anything made of wheat, then your body says, what is this stuff? Oh, it's an invader. I'm going to attack it. If your immune system is strong enough, then it's going to attack it. If it's too strong because it doesn't know what to do anymore, then you've got an imbalance in the immune system. So we will rebalance your immune system to get you through what we're going through right now, and for you to have basically your first line of defense. And we could go on first. Last week, we talked about, you know, oxidative stressors. We could talk for 8 hours on it. Immune system, we could talk for 8 hours, but I think the people are getting the idea that you need a well-balanced immune system. The other thing we do is we detoxify at a cellular level. Now, it doesn't take rocket science to understand that, you know, the air we breathe, the water we drink, and the food that we eat is laden with all sorts of toxicity. But there's also the abuse of pharmaceutical products. So how does that work? Well, very simply put, I said everything's a biochemical reaction and the pathways are going through glutathione. So I'll give you one that will really get to the point. I don't know if people know what PFOA is and PFOS. It's basically the Tefal. You know, the cooking ware that we have? What the research has shown is that 90% of the world's population have this carcinogen in their system. 90%. I'm talking in New Guinea, wow. At the end of the world, they have this. And what the product will do is it will conjugate with this, this molecule. It will turn it into ammonia. And this is important what I'm saying. And you know, we have a protocol of use to use it 3 times a day for the first few weeks, and then 2 times a day for the weeks, and then 1 time a day thereafter. There's a reason for it. Because when you turn a carcinogen into ammonia, ammonia is not good for you. Then we turn the ammonia into water-soluble substrates, and then you eject it out of your body, and guess what? You're out of this carcinogen. So it's very important that we really clean out the system. So these are the 3 functions of, you know, glutathione, and the you know, CELLUVie is there to produce glutathione at the highest level. It's very important. Yeah.
Robert, that's it was a great one tonight. 30 minutes. For all of us out there, anybody listening, if you're interested in helping your body to perform closest to 100% of your mental and physical gifts, this is the product that I believe. It all starts at the cellular level. If you want to operate closer to 100% of your peak mental and physical capabilities, just imagine, what would that feel like? What would an additional 10% feel like? Am I operating at 60%, 70%, 90%? From listening to you, I think to really know, you need to get on the product. Try the product. The best trial I've ever seen on any product is trying it yourself. You be the judge. There's a 60-day empty bottle money back guarantee. That's how strongly we all feel about the product when we go out there and tell our friends and associates. So for everybody out there, remember, CELLUVie 20% discount ends tonight, Mountain Time, 12 midnight. Get your orders placed right now. There's about 2 or 3 hours left, depending on where you are. California, you have longer. East Coast, you have shorter. The decisions that you make tonight determine your tomorrow. So thank you for tuning in, everybody, tonight. Thank you, Robert Gauthier. Appreciate your incredible knowledge, and I look forward to seeing you all next week. So thank you, everybody. Good night.
Good night.